Hi, everybody. This is part three of the How to Write Proposal podcast series. Okay. This, by far, is the thing that people struggle with the most, and it's just because they don't have practice, and that is writing style. Scientific writing has a particular writing style. It is very different than writing style for other kinds of writing, like for an English class. So, this is based on an old technology um, idea that it costs money to print paper, and uh, they would encourage scientists to write as succinctly as possible, no flowery language, no extra words. That has also been perpetuated into the electronic realm because scientists don't have a lot of time and they want to just get just tell the story quickly. So you want to be succinct. So you're going to say what you need to say in the fewest number of words possible. You want to make a logical argument. If A, then B, then C. And you want to avoid things that get away from this. So if you have a lack of logical flow or large leaps in logic, that's bad. If you have fluffy sentences, those are bad. Wordiness, if you have huge, long sentences, and if you're measuring a sentence with a ruler, it's 3 inches of your paragraph, that's too big a sentence. Things that are awkward in the sentence construction and passive voice. I'm going to give you examples of these. So, a lack of logical flow. Here's an example. Zebrafish are not dependent upon a circulatory system for oxygen delivery during the first 4 days post-fertilization, Bagato et al. 2005. Adults can vary their stroke volume to meet exercise demands. Embryos over 4 days old are typically greater than 1 millimeter thick. You get the idea. So first I'm talking about zebrafish in general, and then adults, and then embryos. It doesn't make sense. So I should talk about embryos and then adults. Okay? So first 4 days post-fertilization, those are embryos. Keep talking about embryos and then talk about adults. This logical flow is wrong because I stuck adults in the middle. Okay, example of fluff. And this is what people do when they don't know how to start their proposal, is they'll just put in a fluffy sentence. Things like zebrafish are fascinating animals I want to learn more about. Or in your case, it would be something like C. elegans are excellent models for disease. Okay, this doesn't add anything to your proposal in that it doesn't tell me anything about what you want, what you're going to do, or why you want to do it. It's just fluff. So get rid of it. Don't put that stuff in there. Another problem is wordiness. So an example, Johnson et al. 2000 was the first to show that fish make leptin, although what he really showed was the fish make some sort of protein that might be leptin and did not prove it was actually fish leptin. Okay? You can say that, you can get that idea across in much fewer words. Johnson et al. 2000 was the first to show that fish make a leptin-like protein, period. Much shorter, gets the idea across. Okay? That's what you want to strive for, is a lack of wordiness. Some huge sentences. I will maintain zebrafish as described in Westerfield, 2007 at 28.5, with males separated from females and zebrafish chow, supplied twice daily. If you got to take a breath in the middle of your sentence, it's too long. Break it up. Okay, don't have huge sentences. That helps. If you don't have huge sentences, it helps with logical flow. It helps with understanding. Awkward sentences. Females would be separated from males most of the time, except for when they're breeding, which obviously means males and females are not separated. This is a very awkward way to get the idea across that you're going to keep the sexes separate. Okay? The use of passive voice. This is something that I fight with graduate students a lot, in that they just tend to do this. They write things like studies have shown that, or research has shown that, or it is well known that. That's considered passive voice. Just give me the facts. Okay, so if you get rid of studies have shown that, and you say C. elegans dapagliflozin gene knockouts result in longer lifespan, okay, it's obvious that I didn't make this up. There's going to be a citation after this to support this fact, and it's obvious that that citation indicates that a study was done. Okay, so don't have this language. Okay, sometimes you might want to make the point that it is well supported by lots of studies. Okay, and in that case, what you do is you'd have lots of citations afterwards, and not a single citation. So this is a really well established fact. But again, you don't need studies have shown that. Research has shown that. Research has been, or scientists is interested in none of those beginning of sentence things. You want to get rid of passive voice. Okay. When you are indicating a gene name in your proposal, and most of you will be doing this, there is a convention about how to indicate what the name of a gene is versus the name of the protein that that gene codes for versus a mutant, etc. All those rules are at this link here, and that's also on your guideline sheet. What's going to be the answer for most of you is that if you're talking about the name of a gene in C. elegans, it's going to be in italics, all the letters lowercase, and then a number after it, like DPY5. Okay? And if you're talking about the protein that that gene codes for, then that's capital DPY5. Okay? That'll take care of most of your issues, and if you have more complicated issues, just take a look at that link and you should be able to figure it out. Okay. In the bibliography, this is the source of actually where people lose most of their points, because they are thinking, I'm done, I'll just cut and paste my bibliography in there, and that'll be good. And it will not be good. Okay? So, in text, while you're writing your proposal, on the first, in your one page, you're going to cite everything that is not common knowledge. And what I ask people to do is say, if you're talking about this with your grandmother and she would not know what you're talking about, assuming your grandmother is a scientist, then you need a citation. So you don't need a citation for something like PCR is a way to amplify a portion of a gene. That is common knowledge. But you would need a citation for a PCR method, or who discovered PCR, if you happen to be talking about that. Okay? You want to cite the original source, where the information first came from. So this is a real problem. You see it a lot in published literature now, that people are citing stuff that other people cited that other people cited. And they're just assuming that that's what that article said. This has been a problem with some really famous papers, and that just like the telephone game, and that after it's been cited so many times, it turns out that they never said that. But somebody said they said that, and then it's cited, and so on. So you want to avoid all that and just go back to the original source, read the original source, and cite the original source. If you didn't read it, don't cite it. Okay? Don't quote stuff that is not quotable. So after my fire and brimstone speech about plagiarism, people get really paranoid about it, and then they just start quoting everything, like 50 millimolar tris in quotes. That's not quotable. Okay? Something quotable is something profound that a scientist has said, and you want to attribute it to them. Okay? In general, there are almost never a situation when you're writing this proposal where you have something that needs to be quoted. So you put it into your own words, don't use quotes. If you have more than two authors and you're writing in the proposal for a citation, you use at all. Et does not get a period, all does. It is short for et alia, which means and others. Okay? So 2 authors list both of them, Launderville and Johnson, 1995. More than 2 authors, you'd say Launderville et al., 1997. Okay? And single author, which is rare these days, just the last name, Johnson, comma, 1995. Okay? Use their last name and then the year, and that's it. So no first initials, no titles, no nothing else when you're in the proposal. Okay, not in the references, the list of references, but in the proposal. So don't say like Launderville, comma, RL 1995. It's just the last name and the date. That's it. Okay? For the bibliography, there is one format you can use and only one, and that is in the guidelines. Okay? You must use that format. So all your citations, you put them in that format. You cannot use websites. Now, having said that, there are some journals that only publish electronically, and they are technically a website, but they will list where to have how to cite articles from their website. So, for example, PLOS is Public Library Science, is a really common one, and they have volume numbers just like regular journal does, and except that instead of page numbers, they have an E and then a number after that for page numbers. Okay. Other than that, you can't cite a website, can't cite Wikipedia, no encyclopedias. Again, I don't think you even know what those are anymore, but nothing like that. No textbooks. Okay, that's not on this list, but that's also not allowed. I recommend not using online bibliography formatting software because that mostly just gets you in trouble. You're only going to have a dozen or so. Just do them by hand. Yes, it should be alphabetical. The bibliography in citations and text should match. So everything that is listed in your proposal as a citation, there should be an entry for that on the list of references, your bibliography, and vice versa. So there shouldn't be stuff in your bibliography that you never cited. So where people get in trouble is they go into multiple versions of this and they got rid of a citation or they added one and they forgot to add the other part of it in the reference section or take it out of the reference section if they eliminated it. So you want to check, physically check each one. You want to list all authors in the reference section. Don't ever use at all in the reference section. Only capitalize the first word of a title. This is called sentence case. If there's 2 sentences, the first words of each sentence is capitalized. A very common way to write a journal article title is blah, 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 colon, blah, 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 blah. Like, I study leptin, colon, the coolest protein in the world. In that case, after the colon, the first word is capitalized. It's a separate clause as if it were a separate sentence. You will also, within, if you have a species name that is in the title, you might make sure that that is correctly notated and that the genus should be capitalized. Just the first letter of the genus should be capitalized. Species should be in lowercase, and it should be in italics, or each underlined separately. Each word, genus, and species underlined separately. All right, so if we look at this sort of thing, it's got all kinds of problems, and I think this is taken right from a past proposal. So it's got formatting problems here, and then this should go back up here. Okay, this is the wrong format here, and then it's not consistent. And here, in this case, you've got 2009 not in parentheses, and here you do have it in parentheses, and then the year is in someplace else. Okay, in this case, this is one of the most common things I see is that every letter of the title is capitalized. This comes from people just cutting and pasting from a website into the references. That is not going to work. Okay, that never, ever, ever works. It's fine if you want to start with that, but then you need to go line by line and make sure it's in the right format. And you can lose just tons of points on this. So pay attention to it. Okay, so read the guidelines I gave you online. You want to do that before you start, before you look at any papers, anything like that. Okay? And then write your proposal, read it again before you hand it in. There's a checklist on there. Ask yourself, am I doing this stuff? That's not everything that you could lose points for, but it's just the most common stuff. All right? If you're going to get to the point where you're going to read this page over and over and over again, and you're going to miss mistakes just because your brain won't allow you to see them because you've seen it too often. If you let it sit for a day and then read it again, it's better. You can catch more mistakes. But even then, there are mistakes that you will not find. I'm working on a manuscript right now with 3 other authors. I checked it over 3 times. I gave it to them, and they found about 10 new mistakes. So if you give it to a friend to correct, they will catch a lot of stuff, just like spelling and that sort of stuff. Okay? You have to add the grading rubric and submit it as one PDF file. So how do you do that? Let's say this is my proposal. Okay? It's 1 page long. And then I've got my page of references after that. And then I've got 3rd page here. I'm going to insert file. Okay, and I'm going to go to this that I downloaded from Brightspace in Word format, because that's easier. It's in PDF format and in Word format, both on the website. It's easier to insert a file as a document than it is a PDF. Okay, so then I just say insert. Okay, and there it is. There's the whole thing. Okay, and now I'm going to file, print, save as PDF. And I'm going to give my proposal a name, and then it'll be a PDF that includes my proposal, the reference section, and the grading rubric. All of that has got to be on there, and it's got to be submitted as a PDF file, or you're going to lose half your points. Okay? So you attach the grading thing to your proposal, make a PDF file, submit that. Okay? Only one of you submits it. So there's 2 of you working on this. In one case, 3 of you working on it. Only one of you submits it to the Dropbox on the assignment folder on Brightspace. Okay? If you screw up and you submit it early and you want to submit another one, it only keeps the most recent one that you submitted. So do that as many times as you want. Okay? If you are up against it and you are banging this out right at the last, at the end of when the assignment is due, I will have no mercy. You're going to see a sea of red when it's handed back to you. Okay, and it's also a lot more work for me than if you do what you need to do before you hand it in and just make sure it's as good as it can possibly be as far as you know. Okay, this is going to take you a long time, a lot longer than you think, and it's going to be much harder than you think, but you're going to learn a ton, and it's very useful information because it's not the last time in your career you're going to have to write a proposal. Okay, so please take this seriously. Please give yourself enough time to do it. Please read the directions, follow those directions, and then you'll do great. Also, the timing of this works out that I have to choose which of each of the sections is going to be the winning proposal before you hand in your final draft. Okay? There's not enough time because you're going to hand in your final draft right before spring break, and you need to know we need to know as a group whose proposal are we going to do for when we get back from spring break. So I'm going to make that decision based on your rough draft, not your final draft. You'll still hand in a final draft. The final draft is still worth 100 points. You'll still get a chance to correct all those mistakes. But if you blow this off and you hand in a very rough draft, it's very unlikely yours will be chosen as the proposal we're going to do for the lab. You don't get any more points for that if yours is chosen, just bragging rights. Okay? So if you want yours to be chosen, do a good job on it. Okay? And ask lots of questions. Thank you very much.